Welcome to Prospecting Today's podcast. We have a guest joining us, Aaron Wittenstein, a full-time, full-service realtor. Aaron's expertise as a seasoned real estate agent gives him a well-rounded background that will benefit a first-time home buyer, a homeowner veteran, investor, or a returning client. His qualifications include 15-plus years of fast-track sales experience in diverse business environments, with 12-plus years in real estate. Having been fortunate to work under multi-million-dollar producers, he has extensive knowledge of the real estate business, which will fully maximize his client satisfaction. And Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on today's program.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, I just kind of want to launch into how did you build such a successful career? What's like the number one thing you did that really led to your success?
Oh God, that's an interesting question. I listen to whatever my wife tells me.
Oh, I like that. Very, very good answer.
Baby, I hope you're listening to this. I would say I've actually been a real estate agent. I got to update those numbers from what I gave you. I've been doing this for 18 years now. I really haven't taken the business too seriously up until about 5 years ago, and that's when I really started committing to a schedule in prospecting. So I think it's kind of like there's two parts to that answer, if that's okay. I have, number one is my schedule. I stick to my schedule on a regular basis, okay? I control my entire day up until about 3 or 4 o'clock. And the second would be that I prospect on a daily basis every single day, Monday through Friday, probably about 95% of the time from 8 to 11 o'clock in the morning. So those two things have made a massive change in my world.
Well, you also coach as well. So do you find that most people who aren't finding success are the ones that aren't sticking to a schedule?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you look at the most successful people in the world, I mean, heck, they're up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. They have their day lined up to a T, with what they have. So I think, when you're going here or there or whichever, it's not that you can't be successful. You're just going to be a heck of a lot more stressed out in the process.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So what led to that change 5 years ago when you decided, hey, I've got to do something different. I've got to be successful?
You know what? I had a child, so I think that made a world of difference in my life. When I was single, I go make, $50, $75, $100,000. That's plenty of money. But suddenly when you're married, you've got a 1-year-old and you're responsible for 2 other lives, your life miraculously changes. So I would say those. And then, I even bumped it up more. I've now got 3-year-old twins, as of 3 years ago, which is pretty self-explanatory. I've bumped it up even more just because I got to support other people.
So at what point did you end up finding kind of the magical or figuring out how to be successful that you then parlayed some of your career into coaching others how to do what you were doing?
Shoot, I don't even consider myself successful right now.
I think many people would.
But I think that you have a certain key thing that you hit that you think you're going to be successful, and then you hit it and you're like, okay, I've got to do more. And I don't honestly know where you actually hit that level or where you feel you've done it, because there's always so much more to hit than what you currently have.
Yeah. So what are some things you do to motivate yourself? I know your family's one of them and making money to support your family, but what are some other things you do to mentally or physically motivate yourself to go out there and make those calls or prospect in a way that brings you business?
I mean, it's what you said. It's my family, because when you don't have to do something for yourself, when you're doing it for someone else, if you don't do it, you're being selfish. That's the way that I look at it. If it was just me and I didn't really have other people, to look up to me and, from that level, I don't think I would be anywhere close to where I am right now. They've made such an impact on my life having those 3 little ones in my life.
Oh, absolutely. It gives you a lot of direction, I'm sure. So I'm curious when you look at the market, what are some things you might be looking to do differently in 2019? As you look at the market, are you forecasting changes? Interest rates are rising. What are your thoughts as you look into next year?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely right now, we're in a changing market, like Gary Keller calls it, a shifting market. Best way I can put it is, you remember the scale of justice? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So, I usually do this a heck of a lot better when you actually see my hands, but if it was floating, on a 70% level versus a 30% level of sellers versus buyers, we've kind of flipped where we're probably 60% buyers and 40% sellers. So we're turning much more into a buyer's market. Interest rates are rising, so people aren't buying as much, so listings will sit longer. Buyers will take a little bit more time to find the right property. Prices probably won't go down very much. So a lot of what we're doing is I brought on 2 buyer specialists on my team, and we're going to start putting more money into buyer lead generation, Facebook advertising, Google, Google AdWords, open houses to bring those buyers in, because I know that it's going to be a much, much larger part of the business, and it's something you need to get a real good leg up on.
Yeah. Is that something you keep an eye on at all times, what the market looks like, how it's shifting, and how do you figure out how to make predictions on which direction to go in?
Shoot, we've been doing this for 18 years, no matter what, we're on a 7-year cycle. So I've seen this happen twice already where, we're up, we're down. 7 years, we peak, we go down. So there's no, how can I put it? You just look at the trends of what's going on. So when you're studying the market, you're seeing how long average market time is, you're seeing prices, you're looking at that stuff, you can kind of figure it out, as long as you know what you're looking for.
So when it comes to prospecting, Aaron, what are some of the tools you use, maybe some technology you use? What do you use to help you be successful?
Basically, I use Vulcan 7, which is my data source. So I use Vulcan 7 just like Star Trek. Then I use Seize the Market, which is my database dialer or all-inclusive system. So those are pretty much the 2 main programs that I use. And then I also use a little bit of Constant Contact for email marketing. But that's pretty much the crux. I don't use 25 different systems.
Yeah, okay. And when it comes to prospecting, give me an idea of how you would approach someone that leads to you being successful in creating a connection.
Can you repeat the question?
So when it comes to prospecting, give me an idea of what you say to someone or how you approach someone that leads to you being successful and making a connection.
Got it. Okay, I wanted to make sure I was clear on that. So, I think that it depends on who you're calling. Okay. So, I think in general, as long as you can kind of mimic, like, what are we talking about? Expires for sale by owners database? What are we referring to? Just so I can have a point of reference.
Yeah, either of those. It could be somebody in your sphere of influence that you haven't seen in 20 years. It could be somebody that you're just cold calling. Just an idea of how you would approach a different situation and what you would say to make a connection.
Sure. Okay. So, I think with my script from expired phone calls, it's one of those things where, I say, hi, this is Aaron. So I'm pronouncing my name first. I'm looking for the owner of 123 Main Street. So that way they kind of were like, yes. And you say, I'm actually a realtor. I was calling because it looked like your property had come off the market. I was just trying to figure out how in the world that property didn't sell. So what I'm doing, I'm introducing myself in a polite fashion by saying it first. I'm asking for who I'm looking for. I'm then identifying fully who I am. I'm making a statement of truth. Then I'm going for a pattern interrupter, okay, where the pattern interrupter is what gets them talking. But the thing is the way that they answer the phone. So I say, hi, this is Aaron. I'm looking for the owner of 123 Main Street. The way that they make that next sentence, however they answer that, then you have to go into mimicking the way that they speak, their tonality, and their speed of speech. If that makes any sense, what I just said.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So that's kind of like, the beginning of the conversation. And then from there, it's a lot of asking questions. It's a lot of mimicking. It's a lot of tonality. It's a lot of, speed rate. There's a lot of things that come into play with them to get them to not object to you being on the phone.
Sure. And so in your nearly 20 years of experience, what's the silver bullet for you? What's the one thing you figured out that really helps you on a daily basis?
Surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've got a lot of support. I've got a good team. Now I've got, people that surround me where if I don't come in, I'm not feeling it. I get a kick in the ass, to do what I need to do. I would say that and scheduling. I go back to scheduling. My schedule is so important that I live and die by my schedule. If I don't run it properly, my whole day feels like it's thrown off.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you basically balance being a real estate agent who's very busy but also taking on coaching clients? How do you walk that line?
I mean, here's the thing is, I don't take on, like, the coaching stuff that I do is very, very limited. So I do a group coaching program that I run actually with my coach. Okay. We have about 100 some odd people in it. So that takes about, an hour prep time, an hour a week worth of that. I'm very selective with the people I take on. I'll maybe take on one person a day with it. And the main reason that I do it is I like to help. And it is when you start teaching others, you wind up getting better yourself. And then I do a program which I'm probably going to relaunch in December called Expired Mastery, where it's basically an all-inclusive, in-depth program and system in regards to expired listings.
Oh, very cool. And how can people jump on board if they want to take part in that with you?
Okay, so if people want the group coaching, that's what we're doing right now, trajectorynow.com. Expired Mastery is expiredmasteryelite.com. And then if anybody wants to talk about the one-on-one stuff, just send me a Facebook message. It's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Okay, so that's all great information. So give me an example that you took on that really needed a lot of help and how you were able to help them be successple.
I'm sorry, you cut out at the beginning there. Did you say a client or a coach or a coaching?
A coach.
Gosh, I mean, I do so much work with expired listings that, for example, I took on a listing. This is a plot property out in Chappaqua where the woman really had to sell. She had some health issues. She a lot of family issues, items like that. The house is on the market with other brokers for about 3 years. And we came in there, we changed stuff around in the house. We modified the price slightly. We properly marketed the property, on its own. And from a home that was on the market for almost 3 years, we flipped it around in less than 4 months. And we were able to get the woman on. She was moving out of state, to her family and to the right hospital and all that type of stuff. Very, very sweet lady.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. How were you able to move it so quickly?
What it comes down to with a lot of these expired listings is that it's what I always like to say, you kind of got to picture the listing sheet, rip it up, and pretend like it never happened. And that's the challenge that you run into. There's so many little things that are done on a listing that people just don't know. Like, for example, you could be listed at $880, and that is just a horrible price because $875 is incremental by $25,000. The photography is so important where if you just have the wrong angle on a kitchen, it cannot look right. Strategic pricing, I know my pricing in 901 just because it pops off the page. You've got remarks where you can tell a story of what it is. You got to make sure all the information in there is correct and nothing's blank. And that's just the listing sheet. There's so many other factors that come into it with, marketing to the proper agents, getting out there to Joe Buyer. There's so many factors that come into play, but we have a real solid system down for it.
Oh, that's great. And that's something that if somebody got in touch with you, you could help coach them through your system?
Of course.
Okay, wonderful. So again, just Aaron Wittenstein on Facebook, or tell them again the email or the website they can go to if they want to get help from you, Aaron.
Yeah, the other group you can check out is Lead Gen Scripts and Objections. It's facebook.com/groups/got, like got milk, objections. So you can go there, check us out as well. Otherwise, trajectorynow.com or expiredmasteryelite.com.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. And you can also follow us at ProspectingToday.com or also on Facebook. Thanks, Aaron. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.